Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Ray's Garage, Renting with Ray. Can you see it? There's something missing. I sold CV No. Yeah guys, I sold my 2022 Roguelite Special. I was going to trade it in on the legendary Iron CVO. Alligator Alley would only give me $14,500 on a trade. Tony, when I called Tony told me, go to these two websites, bankmybike.com and rumbleon.com. I said, why? He said, man, I don't want to insult you. Ever since the redesign of the bikes, the older bikes, 2022 and down, the bottom dropped out of it, and I'm not going to insult you with a lowball offer. I want you to go on there so you can get a general idea of what your bike is worth before we start moving. Wow, that was a shock to my senses. Rumble On offered me $14,300 for my bike and thought I was going to sell it to them. They started sending me emails saying, all you got to do is sign here and we'll finalize it. We'll send the truck to go pick it up along with a cashier's check. I paid $23,000 for that bike in 2022. I put over $10,000 easily into it. I mean, no way. Are you kidding me? They don't want to pay for all the extras and all the stuff you put on it, but I guarantee you, if once they hits the showroom floor, they will have a list of all the things that are on that bike, and they'll negotiate, but they're not going to give that stuff away. They're going to charge you for it. So that bike would sell for more than what I paid for it, guaranteed, as a used bike. Without a doubt, that bike, if you go look at bikes, used bikes, versus what the bike was worth brand new, if you see all kinds of accessories on it, you're gonna pay for those accessories. And I thought to myself, no way am I gonna trade that bike. Now, Tony was being fair with me, and he told me he can get 18, maybe 19,000 for it if he muscled some of his wholesalers. He would, bury that bike within 2 or 3 other bikes and make sure that I get 18 or 19,000 for it. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna list it for 25,000. My bottom line figure is 21,000, and I'm not gonna take a penny less. So I did exactly that. I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I ended up getting $21,000 for that bike. It's funny. I got a text from a guy named Gabriel, and the text read, "Hey, I spoke to George. He told me to buy that bike. He did all the work on it. I also know the guy that detailed it, and he left his phone number." So I call him. I'm thinking to myself, George, how do you know George? And how do you know George is tied to this bike? George at All American Cycle. I realized that the air cleaner says All American Cycle. So I call the guy and start talking to him. So it turns out he knows George since he was a little kid, and he had called George before even texting me. And George, shout out to George and All American Cycle, George told him, man, buy that bike. That guy rarely rides it. He don't ride it in the rain. He's an old man. He doesn't, and George, not an old man. But he's an old man. He doesn't race it. He doesn't treat it bad. The bike is immaculate. He had it ceramic coated. And the guy even knows Eric from the guy that did my ceramic coat that isn't doing it anymore. He moved to the West Coast. That's a whole other story. So anyway, I met up with him. I got my title. I paid it off about a month ago. October 12th, I paid it off. And I went and got my title after they released the lien and sold it to him last Saturday. So, Big Ray is gone. What's going to replace it? I don't know yet. I'm thinking. I don't know if I'm going to do another Road Glide. Possibly. A guy from the shop, Oscar, told me that the Street Glide, the redesigned Street Glide, doesn't ride like the old Street Glide. So I want to test ride one of those because I've always liked how they look. And I had one before I bought 2 Road Glides. So I'm going to check it out. Anyway, I'm doing something else to the CVO. I'm going to show you guys. A10 Moto Baja design headlights. This is 2 LP6 and 4 S1 Squadrons. They came out with a kit for the CVO, and they made it to where there's no gaps. I love how it looks. and I'm gonna put it on my gray bike, and we're gonna go through it step by step. Now I'll tell you something before I roll that intro, that I've already recorded it, it's already done. However, something happened to the recording and there's no audio. So I'm gonna do a voiceover on the disassembly and assembly, the parts that didn't get audio. So if you see me doing the kung fu with a different sound coming out of my voice, that's exactly what happened. And through movie magic, I'll be able to edit it and tell you what's going on. So guys, I'll be right back. Alright guys, here's the bike, how it looks now. And I will begin to disassemble the fairing, all the parts that I have to take off to be able to install the A10 Moto Baja design lights. So here we go. So prep work is very important. You can see I cover my gas tank and my fender. I use a towel. I have a Harley Davidson leather cover for it, but you really want to make sure that you don't damage anything. I'm using power tools. I'm not going to explain bolt sizes because when I did my Santoro Fabworks conversion, I changed the length of the bolts, and I changed from the star bolts to the Allen head bolts. So telling you what size you're going to need to do your particular bike is going to be nothing in comparison, because I don't remember the sizes that were in there, and your size will differ. So the factory headlight is held on by 6 bolts, and the new A10 Moto will be held on by 4 bolts. So you have one there, one there. You can barely see them. I'm trying to focus into it, but they're almost impossible to see. But if you look down there where I'm pointing, there are a bolt on each side, one on the right side and then one on the left side. And then on the bottom of the light, there are some more bolts. You can see me zooming around trying to get a good view of it. One on the left, one on the right. And then on the bottom, I don't know if you can see that bolt all the way back there. You need a good 8-inch extension so that you can get to it. And then you have 2 bolts on the bottom, one on the left and one on the right, that I'm pointing out right now. Now guys, be very careful with this piece right up here to the right of the fairing mounting bolts. That is your radio antenna and your satellite antenna. You want to be very careful when removing your fairing. The dealer told me to be very careful. If you peel this back and you crack any of the leads, you will not have an AM/FM antenna or your satellite link antenna. So now I'm going to remove the headlight. Like I said, it's 6 bolts. 2 way in the back, 2 in the front. Then we have the bolts on the bottom. Being really careful not to lose those bolts. We're going to reuse some of them. And then we have the 2 bolts that are directly in front, right underneath the amp tray. Those come out relatively easy, but they get stuck back there and they drop off the bit. So you have yourself a magnet ready so that they don't drop to the inside of the inner fairing, because I can only imagine that is a nightmare to get them out. So little extended magnet and you can pull the bolts off. They are gonna drop no matter what you do. They're too far back, so they will drop right on top of the light. That's the good part of it. But if you forget them, once you take the light off, they're gonna drop to the back and you're gonna have a bad day. So make sure you have one ready, and you can take those off as soon as they drop. So after you have all 4 bolts off, you can carefully pull the light assembly out. This is a monster size light. It weighs about 15 pounds easily. It's connected by only 1 plug. So you want to carefully lay it down on your fender so you can reach in and unplug it. I finally see what I did wrong, guys. I was recording in slow motion as you can see me matrixing in to grab the plug. And when you record on slow motion, it kills the audio. So one plug is all that holds the factory light in. All the wiring in the harness goes to one plug. That one plug will plug into your A10 Moto harness after you've plugged it into the battery. Then you plug in the 2 LP6 lights and the 4 Squadron lights left and right. As you can see, this is a monstrous headlight. It is humongous. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to keep it just in case down the road one day I change my mind and want to sell this bike. I'm going to bring it right back to stock specs and take all of my stuff off of it. So this giant light we're going to set aside for now. All right, guys, I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to show you what they say on the A10 Moto website, where you feed. You really can't see where it's going through, but there's a hole down there, I promise you. There's a hole down there, and you get one of these fat zip ties. I had to join mine together. You can pick this up at Home Depot, just as they stated. And you feed that zip tie, it's gonna come out, it's gonna channel through this, through the neck of the bike. It's gonna come out right there, and that's where you're gonna have your harness. You're gonna run your harness through that, and feed out, and pull it through, and that goes connected right directly to the battery. That is probably the hardest part of the install. You can't really see where it goes through, but I promise you there is a hole, and it does go through. I checked, double checked, triple checked, because I just had a bad feeling that it was gonna touch the top of the head, but it doesn't. It actually goes through this black thing right here, and it's a channel that goes from the neck, from the gooseneck, all the way through and comes out here by your battery. So that's how they show it on their website, the installation video. And I put some of that lubricant. I'll show you what I use, because it comes from Klein Tools. It's an electrician pull grease. That's it right there. It's a synthetic polymer. It's wire and cable pulling lubricant from Klein Tools. It'll dry, it doesn't get sticky, doesn't get gooey, and it evaporates. You can wipe it off, but in the case of being inside of pipes, it'll dry, it just go away, not damage anything. So okay, I got the harness run. The harness is behind me. So I finished putting together these lights. It comes in a million pieces. I left the protective cover on here so that I can make sure I don't scratch anything. The outer S1s, the lenses come facing this way. So instead of the grid going up and down, it'll go side to side. You have to turn them around 90 degrees to face them that way. I wish they would do that at the factory, but they don't. Pro tip, put this on last. The wings, do that last. On the instructions, it does say that, but you can miss it very easily. It's hard to get into these back bolts to tighten these LP1s. So you gotta, if you put the fin on last, that's the cover that will cover the gap from the other company that makes it, which is completely ugly. So this goes on last. Get these on, straighten them up, 87.5 degrees, and then tighten all your bolts. It's gonna be impossible later. You're gonna leave these two bolts, this one and this one, on both lights. So there's two here and two on the outside. You're gonna leave those loose so that you can adjust the light forward and backward to get that 87.5 degree. I picked up a digital angle finder on Amazon, as recommended by A10 Moto. And we're gonna start running the harness now. I'll take off the seat and run the harness just like they pretty much recommend, that is what I intend to do. I didn't make a video of putting these lights together because it is tedious. A10 Moto does have a video online and you can step by step it. Relatively easy. Just take your time. Don't over torque the bolts. You don't gotta put an impact wrench on these things. You will break it. You don't want to strip anything. There's a guy online that blames A10 Moto. He probably way over tightened it and stripped out one of the bolts. If you strip out the bracket, if you strip this bracket out, any one of these screws where you strip out, just get yourself a tap kit and re-tap it, maybe get a bigger screw, and don't do it again. This is pretty sturdy. This is well made here in the USA. But if you put a crank bar on there, you're gonna strip it. So it is starting to come together. It was a little difficult to hold that light up. It definitely is heavier than the factory light. But as you weight-minded individuals out there, these things weigh probably about 15 pounds when it's all said and done. Maybe a little heavier. The shipping box was 19.5 pounds. There's a lot of extra bolts and nuts and screws for different configurations. I would say it's safe to say I should have probably weighed it, but there's no way I'm gonna take it off just to tell you guys what it weighs. Maybe 18.5 pounds easily. So I got it on there, it's wired. I have not plugged in my harness yet, so I have to test it. I'm gonna go get my angle finder that I picked up on Amazon, because you wanna set these at 87.5 degrees. They are super bright, I've been told, and you don't wanna be blinding oncoming traffic. So hey guys, it's coming back together. Definitely like how it looks. Can't wait to see it completed. So as soon as I turned them on, I noticed this halo in the camera. The lights are so bright that the camera can't stand it. Then the accessory lights, once you shut them down, turn on, and the backlit in amber looks completely awesome. You can't imagine how bright these lights are. Incredible. I love it absolutely. So guys, tell me what you think. I absolutely love the way this looks. It makes the front end of the bike finally look a lot more like a Harley Davidson. Some people like the new headlight. I didn't dislike it, but I wanted something way brighter. Harley needs to figure that out. There's a reason why the aftermarket and LED lights do so well. You want to be seen, you want to be heard. That's why we make the bikes brighter and louder. I did my own little touch and made that A10 red. That's a little secret. So yeah, Harley, listen to us all. Why do you think we changed the headlights? Why do you think we go to LED? Now they are coming along. They went to LED, but nowhere near as bright as they can be. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry for the audio glitch. I didn't realize I was in slow motion. It will not happen again. Anyway, please like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Tell me what you think. And let me know, what do you think I should buy next? I'm definitely looking to get another bike. This open area here, I want to fill it with another bike. My wife just bought me this beautiful, holds like over 50 of the poker chips since mine was full. So I told her I gotta go to a lot of rallies. I'm gonna fill it up. Guys, thank you once again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Another video, Ray's Garage, Wrenching with Ray Ray. Thank you guys, thanks for joining me.